Welcome, everybody, to the first episode, the inaugural episode of Kino with Khan, which is...
That's what it's called. I don't even know what podcast I'm on.
Kino with Khan. It's a wonderful new podcast that has a streets buzz. The basic premise, just for our first-time listeners, which is everyone, is, every week, barring my busyness, get a good friend, someone who's interesting and fun, to come out and hang out on my roof, crack a few beers, have a chat. And because it's really tough to talk to your friends without subject matter, I asked them to choose a film that's seminal to them, something that matters.
Talk to your friends without a predetermined subject matter.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. A film that's seminal to them, that really matters to them, or that they hate, or they just want to force me to watch. And I watched the film, and it lays the basis of our conversation. And for our first episode, I got someone who's near and dear to me, who I love very, very much. Maybe the first time I've said it.
Yeah, it's new to
me. My friend, he's a fantastic writer, director, comedian. You would see his work with Uncle Shortbread, or his recent Adult Swim short, which has amassed more than 1 million views on YouTube, which he wanted me to make the point that is a lot more than any of the other Adult Swim videos.
I did not ask for that.
Ladies and gentlemen, Arthur Studholme. Clap, 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 clap.
It's good to be here, man. Thanks for having
me. It's a weird context to hang out.
I know, look at this.
Thanks for coming by, Arthur. And just so we can crack on, I'm going to make you tell us the film you chose and give us like a couple minutes. However long you take. Rundown of the film. Don't worry about spoilers. Nobody's going to be watching this film.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to be watching this.
Yeah, exactly. Don't spoil the podcast.
Yeah.
So I got my friend Asif to watch a film called Zardoz, which is it's a John Boorman classic. I think it came under the category of something I wanted you to sit through, rather than something that I necessarily expected you to love. I'd say, but the film is basically it's the film that Sean Connery agreed to do after he basically couldn't get a job after Diamonds Are Forever, where he was in the doldrums of his career, and he basically accepted this absolutely bonkers movie, and he plays what is known in the film as a what are they called?
Say it.
say it. No, what is it? As a savage, basically a savage, where he goes around. He's essentially kind of in this mad cult under this god who lives in a stone floating head, and his job is to slay the yokels. That's how it would be perceived from within the movie.
That's the terminology they use.
That's what they
Savages,
say.
yokels.
Yeah, exactly. And he plays this kind of monosyllabic brute who basically gets all of these posh women super horny.
As they do. As we do.
And ultimately is their liberation.
Yeah.
And yeah, what did you think?
Yeah, I'll give it a bit of a rundown. So essentially Sean Connery lives in a weird wasteland, and they kill the yokels, who are like farmers in suits, for their stone god. But then he sees the stone god, he climbs into it, and the stone god actually kills the guy flying the stone god and takes him to this paradise where all the rich posh people live, and they're immortal, and everyone else outside isn't. And Sean Connery they're begging for death. Sean Connery figures out how to destroy it all and frees them from immortality and wealth and brings order to the universe, which is the Cotswolds.
Exactly, yeah. If you think of it as the Cotswolds, it's a world where people have reached a kind of what they would consider like a societal perfection.
Yeah.
But what that's actually created is a system of like subjugation to like the norms of that society, i.e. they're incredibly bored. They've got nothing to do.
Yeah.
They have no
they live forever.
Problems in inverted commas, and yeah, they live forever. So they're begging for death on some subconscious level. and then they get this kind of sexy brute man who rocks up, and they go, "Oh my god, we want a bit of that savagery," and ultimately they just want to die.
Yeah, they're like really taken into it. First of all, I'd really like to thank you for, this is the first episode of the podcast, really nailing us with the search engines right there. It's something great for the algorithm. Choosing a film that's really hot right now. SEO is going to be going crazy with this. Someone made a film
obscure. What is it? 70s? No, is it 70s or 80s?
It's like the 1970s.
Yeah.
It's a sci-fi, and the reason I said cultural is because it looks like it's filmed a lot in like just the hills of England. And it goes paradise. It's just a hill in England.
Well, the irony is it was all shot around John Boorman's house in Ireland, and so a lot of the yokels in the movie are just like local Irish people that he like.
What's he saying there?
Well, I don't know. It's insane. But a lot of them were from the gypsy community, and he cast them because they looked like they had lived an outdoor life. So all those scenes where Sean Connery's going around shooting,
he was really doing it.
He was actually. They were just loads of, rural Irish people, which is something,
Just to clarify for the listeners who haven't watched Zardoz, it's just all of our 4 listeners. My mum, your mum.
Yeah.
They have, Sean Connery's like part of the class where they like keep the yokels farming and stuff, but they think they're doing it for God. They're actually doing it for the rich people. Sean Connery gets in with the rich people and then destroys the whole thing.
Yeah.
So it is a big class-conscious film. It is also a fucking weird film.
Yeah.
Which wasn't surprising that you chose it. Because I've always described your comedy as a little bit of an absurdist. Is that fair? Like, you take from like Eric Andre, Tim and Eric, people like that a lot.
Totally.
And Zardoz. And I did see a lot of Zardoz. I can see how it influenced you a lot.
Definitely.
When did you watch this?
I probably first watched it.
How many times have you watched it?
I've seen it a couple of times. It's an amazing piece of
some
work.
Easter eggs you missed? What are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. No, there are. on multiple, because it is an incredibly intricate film. But what's fun about it is that it is I guess, what a lot of people say when they watch my stuff is, what were you smoking when you made this? What drugs were you on when you conceptualized this film? And the answer is always none. Nice. But like, the ability to even make the kind of stuff that we make is kind of in the legacy is as a result of what things like acid did to the creative consciousness. I.e., like, when you take acid, you experience abstraction that wouldn't make, and then if you went to see an abstract movie, you wouldn't understand what the fuck was going on. You wouldn't have any way of relating to it. I.e., like, the 70s and 60s was a time when people were taking all sorts of crazy drugs, as John Boorman was when he made the movie, and he's admitted as much. He said, like, several of the scenes make no sense and mean nothing, and he was just on drugs when he came up with them.
Yeah.
So what I mean is, like, now we live in the period of time, like, after, in the middle of the 20th century, people took loads of drugs and made loads of crazy shit. And Zardoz is like is an example of that kind of experimentation. So in a way it's essentially the surrealism, but also it's all shot on these really beautiful lenses. It's incredibly well crafted, and that's kind of what I find inspiring about it, is that there's like a huge amount of cinematic craft intertwined with like total surrealist nonsense, and they come together. It's a bit like there's aspects of Monty Python about it.
Do you find it funny? Because I'll put out that this film, I don't think it's going for comedy.
No.
It's going for like, also, when did Star Wars come out?
The same year.
So yeah, it was probably like just right there with it in the box office. Wait, did it do well?
Literally, no. It was a massive flop. It was a massive flop, and people also hated it at home.
Yeah.
But it's one of those films that kind of became. It was probably like the original Room, where now people were like, this is so bad, and then in the intervening decades, it was reappreciated and people started to like it.
Well, I wouldn't say that like it was. I would say it was different from The Room because The Room is like the acting and filmmaking itself is so terrible.
Yeah.
That it becomes comical. But this, they're like, the acting is good. It is Sean Connery.
Yeah.
And it is. I'm looking it up right now.
I'm finding it so funny that we're talking about this movie seriously on a podcast.
Charlotte Rampling,
Yeah.
who is fantastic,
Yeah.
and has had a very great long career as Consuela.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I know, exactly.
Why would she name Consuela?
I know. There's nothing Spanish about the film.
There's nothing Spanish about the
whatsoever.
film. She is a white lady.
Yeah.
In the elite upper class area.
Yeah.
And she's just like, it's Consuela, get out of here.
But what is interesting about her in that role is you can kind of see
Her titties.
You can at one point in the
At one point
film,
you see her titties.
but you can see a link between her in this film as this like mysterious member of this elite with its own set of like supernatural powers and her role in Dune.
Oh.
And I wonder if
You wonder
Denis
if-
Villeneuve had seen it and thought,
I actually
there's something going on
the
there.
weird thing is about this film is like immediately when Zardoz comes out in his, so he's wearing, we'll put it up if we can, I'm not sure what my editing skills are, but like he's wearing this like red thong and for the whole film, and what are they called when the bullets are around?
A bandolier.
A mandolier.
Yeah.
Nice. He's wearing like a red mandolier, and immediately mandolier.
Beer with a B.
Mandalbeer.
Fuck.
Mandalbeer.
Bandolier.
Mandolier.
No.
That's what you're saying.
I'm saying bandolier.
Oh, bandolier.
Yeah.
Bandolier. I immediately clocked that in season 5 of Community, when they have a when the community college gets taken over by a social media app. It all falls to like disarray, and Starburns' character is running around in the same costume.
Yeah.
And he's running around in that, and then at the end, the tag of the episode is that when everyone goes back to normal, he's still wearing it. He's like, I've rented it for a week.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh wow, like obviously.
No, it's
Obviously, it was a big enough film for these guys to put that in,
it's
with
huge.
no one gonna get it.
It is weird and like relatively niche, but it's a lot of directors' favorite movies. Ben Wheatley would say it's
Really?
his favorite film. Yeah.
Is it your
I think
favorite?
he it might even be spoofed in The Simpsons.
Possibly. I can see it having a big cult following.
I think what it is it's Sean Connery stark naked, basically, except for this weird red thong, like you say, it's like mankini, roaming around the Irish countryside, looking like that. It's
Well,
like that's enough.
This is something I want to bring up with you. Don't worry, I'm not going to bring up. This is the first podcast. We're not going to get. We're not going to get personally. I'm not going to bring up Arthur's allegations or anything like that. But
to be clear, there's no allegations. This is a bit that Asif has been
right,
talking
no
about for days.
No allegations here. Am
Why
I
are you
right?
doing that?
I don't believe those women. No, allegations. Okay, before we get back, allegations. Sean Connery has great allegations. Well, I was telling you.
Yeah.
Not allegations, but because their allegations are like, if we don't get it, but these are. He's full on admitted.
Yeah, what are they? I actually don't know.
He insists it's okay to punch women.
Punch? He thinks it's okay.
To just beat
To
the
commit
shit out of
violence
women.
against women,
Yeah, just
isn't
domestic violence, DV all over the place. There's a fantastic interview of him. He's maybe in like his 50s or something. So it's like kind of peak Connery. And then the woman's like, so you think it's okay to hit a woman? You've like suggested that before. And she gives him plenty of time to roll back his answer. And he goes like, of course. Why wouldn't you hit a woman? It's like for no reason. Like give it a
Under some circumstances, even that's questionable.
Trying to give him some defense.
Yeah.
He goes like, no, I'm never say punch a woman. But open hand slap her. It's the only way to get him in line.
Oh my God.
And you're like, shocked.
Oh man.
And he keeps
Who's he being interviewed in that situation?
Just like by a magazine or something, but it's a
Right.
video of it, and it's fantastic. And he just keeps doubling down as well.
Yeah.
And she's like being quite like, maybe his publicist is going to step in.
Yeah,
Nobody steps in.
let him roll.
Connery's
Let
just
Sean
going.
do his thing.
Like, when he goes like, never close fist, open hand slap.
Well, Sean is definitely a highly questionable man. I heard that he had a clause in his contracts that he could, if he wanted to, during the filming of a sex scene, he could essentially do additional takes beyond what was required because he just kind of liked it. He just wanted to like.
Oh, because he's having fun.
He's just having fun. He just like.
I was
wanted to
thinking
have
there's a few
for
sex scenes
longer.
in this in Zardoz.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's an intimacy coordinator.
Definitely not.
There's nothing good. Like, there's points
Yeah.
where Connery's just grabbing people's chests.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. In the 2025, that would be unacceptable. But the irony is, in this movie, Charlotte Rampling apparently was disappointed that her sex scene with Sean Connery was so brief.
Oh,
She apparently she'd been looking forward to it and wanted, was keen for it.
when that interview was that like 70s interviewing a woman and they have to just like go along
Yeah, I
with
know.
it. Sean Connery standing behind the camera with hand open.
Yeah.
Gotta be like, you better show you wanted more.
Yeah.
There is a lot of sex in this.
Yeah.
A lot of unnecessary nudity.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I get actually annoyed when I see stuff online with like Gen Z. I don't know if we're Gen Z. I don't know if we're-
Gen.
I think we're on the
No.
border.
Yeah.
Of millennials. and Gen
We're
Z.
on the
Yeah.
we're not millennials, but we're just below.
Yeah, whenever the Gen Z, like actual kids, they're like, we don't need that much sex in movies and stuff like that. Time to mention our sponsors.
Exactly.
Lime bikes.
Aperol and Asahi.
Throw your trash at us. You're a piece of shit. If you're a piece of shit, throw your trash at us.
Leave your trash in us. You're welcome.
I actually hate that so much.
Especially when it's rattling about.
Yeah, if someone throws like a banana peel in there.
Ugh. Yeah, and then it's like too gross to actually pick out. You have to just leave it.
No, I don't take the bike. Actually, forest bikes, a lot better nick than lime bikes, in my opinion.
What else?
Forest bikes?
Oh, forest. Yeah.
They're always in good nick, whereas lime bikes are kind of disgusting now.
Yeah.
Say what you will. Hot takes
There
here.
you go.
Kino.
You heard it here first.
But where's it going? In Zardoz, Connery's body. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
If that film was made
Rick.
today, he'd be ripped.
Do you think? Oh, he'd be shredded.
He'd be shredded.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Is this a change in body standards for men?
There must be.
What is
My
going
take on this is
He didn't even do like a press up before.
Not one.
They knew he was doing.
But he has a rugged kind
Yeah.
of manliness.
Full
that I
chest
think-
hair.
Yeah. I think that was a time when it was more about your aura than like Zach. What's his name? Not Zach. Let's say Zach Braff. That's not
Zach
what I mean.
Braff, the pinnacle of male.
That Zach Braff bod. No, who am I thinking of? Who's the guy who was in the Iron?
Zac Efron.
Zac Efron.
Yeah.
Right. So like absolute peak physical perfection
Yeah.
is like that's what like a sexy man looks like now.
Well, okay, let's just wind it back there because you mentioned the chest hair and the stomach hair. I'm trying to think. I don't think I've seen chest hair in a film in a long time. Like proper
No.
Connery bushels.
No. I don't think I've seen the full. Also, like back
Full
hair,
what?
back hair as well. He's got the whole.
He's
hair.
got everything. He's just a hairy guy.
He's got hair on every angle.
He's also just built like a normal guy. In this.
Yeah.
Um,
The thing is, you say that, but he's built. He's
tall.
definitely bigger. Like,
big guy.
For example, we say this about the peak physical body, but you look at like Timothy Chalamet and his body. He's a skinny. The things
That's
that he's
it.
done for
He's got aura.
for people with my body, emaciated lads. He's done so much. Call Me by Your Name. He's a twig,
He's a
and
twink,
people went
yeah.
crazy for him.
Yeah, but he's a little twink. Army Hammer is in that film as well.
Yeah.
And he's I haven't seen a Connery body.
But as in, no one is going about Timothy Chalamet, gross skinny bod.
No,
You know what
that's
I mean?
true.
And then he went on to play the King in The King, and he has a equally skinny bod, and
Yeah.
he's also meant to be like the warrior king.
Yeah, even in Dune as well, he's like fighting Jason Momoa
Yeah.
and like Josh Brolin and
Exactly.
and winning.
And winning.
And a part of me does lose a bit of disbelief.
There is a part of it. I'm with you on that. There's a little bit of me that goes, if he had more muscles, I'd buy this.
Jason
more.
Momoa's like, oh, how'd you beat me again? It's like, how did he?
Yeah, this doesn't check out whatsoever. But then then I'm looking at like, what's that MMA fighter?
Yeah, but they fight within
Conor.
their weight class.
Yeah.
They're not fighting heavyweights.
True, but they're still like incredible fighters who are
Yeah.
super skinny. You know what I
Yeah.
mean, regardless of.
Well, I got into
class
this
or
argument with a friend of mine the other day. I think with what's the lowest weight class again? This has gone from like a nice, sophisticated chat about film into like every male podcast.
Yeah, also, I don't know that much about this
No,
stuff.
I was thinking
Bantamweight?
yeah, lowest weight class.
welterweight.
Yeah, whatever it is, I think I could last a round with a professional fighter. Not the champion, but a professional fighter in that class.
You absolutely could not.
Why?
Absolutely not. Because you have no speed, for one thing. You
it's
have no
a straw
technical
weight.
ability.
Straw weight. It's a bit embarrassing.
Where you reckon you could take a professional
Not
strawweight
take.
fighter?
I say I can last one round, 3 minutes. In it. With him.
Well, you just go like this.
Yeah. And I try to avoid. He's obviously
Yeah.
faster. It's just better athlete.
If you know though, because he'd come in, he'd be prepping,
Yeah.
and he'd go, I'm coming up against. You're probably like, what class would you?
I don't know what
you
class
consider yourself
I'm
to be
85
in?
kilos.
That's probably like
Pretty
middleweight.
big. Yeah, middleweight.
I don't know. I think he'd be going, I'm about to fight an untrained, slow, middleweight guy who has no idea what he's doing. Probably like one punch to the head, you're going to go like, ah!
No, I'd protect my head. I think the body would be able to absorb one.
You think?
I don't
A
know.
full
I
punch
don't
to
know.
the chest,
I
to the,
don't-
to the midriff, you'd be down?
To the tum-tum?
To the tum-tum, man.
I don't know.
I don't know, I think you'd be surprised.
This is the clip we could
Because
put
he
on-
also knows where your liver is. Like,
Yeah,
where's
that's
my
the bad
liver
part.
right
Kidneys
now?
and stuff.
Yeah.
Kidneys. This is the part we put on. This is the part of the podcast we put on a male Reddit group.
yeah. You got to know your
Reddit
audience.
fly.
Read segment.
Let's take it back. Let's give something for the ladies now. Sean Connery's body.
Yeah.
He was like a sex symbol as well. Also, you said this is the worst part. So I looked it up. I saw he'd just done a Bond film and he did this. I thought he was at the peak of his career. He's just done Bond.
He couldn't. I don't think that Bond was. I think it was a terrible Bond.
Oh, really?
Because I
Still
think
Bond,
it
though.
was.
He must be. It's a pretty good
Diamonds
get
Are
for this
Forever
film.
was considered. I think, and I, fact checkers, come at me. But it was a terrible Bond. He was too old. I think he'd done some Bonds before. Took a long break. Came back and phoned it in. It was a terrible one. And after that, no one wanted to touch him.
Really? That's like if Daniel Craig made a bad Bond and then he's suddenly no one
like
wants
a
Daniel Craig.
terrible Bond.
Still though, he's still Bond. That's interesting to know.
Yeah.
Let me check on the camera quickly.
How's it going?
Still recording. Everything's great. Because I was told that. Well, sometimes this camera just goes off after 20 minutes.
Oh yeah. Oh, it will go off.
Oh really?
Yeah.
It's been 20 minutes. Should I touch the
It's
screen?
more than 20 minutes.
Should I touch the screen?
You sure it's recording?
Yeah. I'll touch the screen.
Yeah. But as in, it will have to,
Why?
because they can't sell a camera that takes stills that records for more than 20 minutes.
Really? Well, it's over 20. I'm still recording, so I just tap the screen.
Okay.
See what happens.
Okay.
See what happens out here.
Maybe that particular one is okay.
Yeah. I mean, you're the director.
But yeah, a good example of that era being indifferent about male muscles is Peter O'Toole, who at the time was big sexy boy.
Big sexy boy.
Everyone loved him, and his rig was, and he was a more traditionally he's just the ladies love him, the ladies go crazy for him, and he was in a movie a few years before called What's Up, Pussycat.
I was gonna guess it, but
Yeah.
nice.
Which is Woody Allen's first movie ever.
Woody
right?
Allen allegations.
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 Let's stay away from that topic.
Allegations.
That ant's nest.
Allegations that were public record for 40 years. That are still
My guy.
I do like when people are like, "Whoa, I didn't even know about that." It's like, yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Everyone did. Also, I think we're just. I'm just complaining a little bit because, in all honesty, the male physiotype in film is not usually that unachievable. And then when they do show slightly unachievable standards, just say Top Gun, Maverick, when all the guys are jacked and ripped.
Yeah.
People
Drugs.
immediately were like, "Whoa, how could you expect men to live up to this standard?"
Yeah.
And it's that's just every woman in every film as well.
Yeah.
I watched that with a friend of mine. I came out with a girl and a guy, and I came out, and me and the guy were like, "Damn, we need to do more press-ups." And the girl was like, "That's how every woman feels every time she leaves the cinema."
But the difference is there are some women that naturally look like that without having to do it. Yeah, it's unrealistic because it's a very specific subset of women. But there are, whereas men who are that shredded have not only have the genetics but have also devoted
fucking hard
hours and hours of their week, which in my mind is more insane. That the kind of guy
that is willing to spend like half of their waking hours gymming.
Yeah.
To me, is like the most unattractive thing available.
Watching what you eat constantly, but like.
Yeah. Checking your macros.
My dad does that a little bit when he's like, if I see one of my brothers, he's like, oh yeah, like maybe I'll take the bread off this burger. My dad's like, fuck.
Yeah. But even that's like, but that's when it starts to become, it eats into your personality.
Yeah.
And that's why I find it odd that like, it's toxic. It's toxic both ways, but there are some women who do just naturally fit the kind of societal stereotype.
I don't know, I think there's still a lot of work in. There's a lot of Pilates classes and all that sort of stuff, a lot of diet.
Yeah, and certainly a lot of looking after your diet, but like to be like Zac Efron, that is like more than half. Like he's thinking about that and acting on that more than half his time.
Probably on like a lot of TRT, HGH, human growth hormone.
For sure, and also taking drugs that are terrible for your health. Not to mention, I guess the Ozempic shit. Yeah, maybe it goes both ways, but in my mind, I just like, as a man, I think what you would have to do to subscribe to that is like really unattractive.
I generally think that it's actually way worse for women because like I still think those body standards are unbelievably unattainable for the average woman. Because like most women have jobs.
That's true.
They can't be like.
It's unobtainable equally for both sides, which is why. But I guess that's
why we go to the movies.
Humans are just always going to be fascinated by like exception.
Yeah. And
it's exceptional for both. It's just like the means to get there is different.
If you're watching Top Gun, you want to see attractive people.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to just go to Top Gun with a fucking bunch of slobs.
Yeah, flabby boys.
This is just defending me from unspecified threats.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's so true.
Because this film has to play in China, baby.
Yeah. Is that a thing?
Well, I don't know. It's like in Top Gun they never use in both the films they never like really specify who the threat is.
Oh
and it's just like pure
the
propaganda. Yeah. It's just pure like military propaganda, which I get. Like if I was like some kid finishing high school in Iowa, with not much going on, and I saw Top Gun, I'd be like, fucking. Nice.
Let's go. Yeah. But if you were that guy and it was like we're fighting against the Russians,
no. If you
would you feel different?
No. I think that's for international audiences. You don't want to. It's because that's not what the film's about.
Fighting against the Chinese.
Yeah,
a lot of young Chinese guy going, hell yeah, baby.
You don't want to like. Yeah, you want to be one of the 10 films, like one of the X amount of films that's allowed to play in China every year. Especially that big a blockbuster, you need that. You need that revenue, right?
No.
So they so record, and also like better ways of getting those films into China.
Yeah.
Is like
that's also why
casting Chinese people or doing a scene in Beijing or Hong Kong or stuff like that. Like the last one of the Transformers had
it's like a pigeon party.
Pigeon fight going on. The idea was to have a nice drink with a friend on a sunny day, but
I know it's a chilly
Wednesday
cloudy
evening. This is where the good stuff happens, baby.
But am I right in thinking that maybe this is to be trimmed out?
There's no truth. I don't know how to edit.
But there's like, to appeal to a Chinese audience, sometimes you have to re-edit your poster so you don't have like a black guy as the main guy.
Yeah, I think that was like in the 2000s.
Is that not still true?
No, I don't think it's true anymore. I think the last time they did it was with Star Wars. And I don't even know if that's a true story. I just saw it on the internet. But I saw that like Star Wars had John Boyega as like the big face on the poster.
Oh, that was apparently that was what John Boyega was saying.
They put Boyega a bit smaller and made Daisy Ridley a bit bigger.
Yeah.
So it could just be.
That's pretty recent.
Yeah, no, that's not. Yeah, that's like 2010. Sorry, 2010s. But I don't think they really do that anymore. But
you say in the last 15 years it's changed.
Yeah, I don't know though.
Interesting.
I don't know. I don't go to the cinema that often in Shanghai or Beijing. I did go in Hong Kong though, and I've never seen an edited poster there.
Fair?
I've never seen. Well,
but Hong Kong
it has Chinese writing. They'll change the language. I had some notes on Zardoz, which I was going to crack on with you. I was going to bring a paper clip, notebook out and stuff, but
no, do it.
No, I don't.
An intellectual book.
I don't.
The phone notes.
Phone notes. That's what it's all about. Broken phone notes. That's nice, though. The scene has gone on for way too long. It comes up a few times. Yeah.
It is slow as hell.
There's a lot of scenes where it goes on so long and nothing happens. So the first scene where he's like running around, looking around, it goes on for ages. it's just Sean Connery running around like an ape.
Yeah.
There are some good lines though. You stink of despair. Fight back, fight for death, if that's what you want. I was like, hard.
I've actually got some of my favourite lines.
Did you make that for this, or did you just have?
No, I had them down anyway. Let me read out. He's got one. There's a line.
I've seen men rape old cripples, and women and a woman in a wet ditch.
Yeah, that's one of the lines.
Like, all right.
But it's the way it goes. I've seen men rape old cripples, and a woman in a wet ditch.
What are we talking about right now? There is a lot of sexual assault in this film.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's not why I like this film.
Yep, just saying that it's in there. The film you chose.
To clarify.
Friend's death, and then Connery just walking around confused.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That's
fantastic. I like the name.
The crystal says to Sean in a suggestive tone, "You have penetrated me."
Oh, sorry. The crystal is the AI they use.
Yeah.
To I'm making it fucking topical.
There we go, man.
AI they use to make themselves live forever.
Yeah.
It becomes their cage because they don't want to live forever. It's not natural. They went against the natural order of things. Let's talk about classism in this film.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. That's a good question. I think there's a point to be made. Maybe it's not like classism per se, but like the idea of the oligarchy and where we're at right now. And in this film, it's a post-apocalyptic scenario where the financial elites have sequestered themselves in this community that expels the lower classes.
Well, what you missed was the Zendaya was in this film.
I thought young Charlotte Rampling kind of looked like Zendaya.
She's stunning. She's stunning.
Yeah.
Still is stunning.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't see the Zendaya.
She kind of also looked like someone. Oh no, she's not famous. Just someone I know.
Just somebody knows. Looks like my mom. Who is beautiful.
Who is the queen?
Let's put that in the pod.
Big shout out to my mum.
Okay, you're saying, is this film got some great class commentary? Oh, you're saying it's got political.
Well, I thought it was. When I watched it again recently, it's surprisingly relevant, in that essentially what you have is like a group of the elites, the historic elites that have sequestered themselves away from the rest of humanity in a time of like apocalypse, which is kind of exactly what seems to be happening now amongst the billionaire class, where they're all like building fucking bunkers and thinking about flying to Mars and shit, and how that's like, it's interesting that's been like an impulse that goes way back to the 70s, where you have like the super rich, or in this case, in this movie, you have all the like essentially the kind of the people that consider themselves elite,
smarter, richer,
living in a bubble, basically away from everyone else, and that's like kind of, I guess it's sort of now to do with the environment, which actually in the movie it is too. It's like an environmental collapse.
Yeah, it's the environment's gone down. They can't support anyone. There's a lack of resources.
Yeah.
I think there was a huge amount of class commentary in this film. That they convince the warriors that they're sort of the like. I sort of saw them, the savages, as they're called in the film. I don't call them that. The fucking savages outside. That they were like fighting for some sort of just cause. Some sort of like. Some sort of like, in this case, Zardoz, their god, is telling them what to do.
Yeah.
But it sort of reminded me of like elitist people who control like papers or things like that, putting out things of like sort of a culture war that maybe many like people would go to bat for. They believe they're fighting for something real. You got to protest all these trans kids, all these immigrants, all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Because that's what matters. When actually it's something that's perpetuated to sort of blind them to the actual issue, which is these elitists getting more money, hoarding things, or hiding in plain sight against them. Exactly. And then those people take it out on those sort of weaker yokels. What are they called? Yokels. So they feel like they're doing their things for the right reasons. You know? And then when they realize that they're being used, that's when they rise up. So
exactly.
Yeah, you have to. Like,
in a way, it's like that's where we're going. This is what I say is like when in society the masses realize that it isn't the immigrants that are causing their lives to be shit.
It's not a trans kid using the bathroom.
It's not that. It's not like relatively speaking, it's not a big issue.
Yeah.
It's been made into this massive issue, and if the masses realize that it's the billionaires that are meaning they don't have any money, who are they going to be angry with? It's not the immigrants anymore.
Yeah, it's great.
So it's massively in the interest anyway.
It's great when like Bezos can buy a newspaper. It's like one of the biggest newspapers.
Yeah.
And then be like,
it's not me, it's the immigrants.
You know who the real problem is? People who don't buy from Amazon.
It's the relatively small number of trans people that are making your life terrible. Wake up.
There's a great John Boorman or Nick Holder. He's like trans kids. President Trump has repealed transgender students using the bathroom of their choice in public high schools. Because trans kids in public high schools have been too good for too long.
Yeah, exactly. I know who we should go after. That's the James Acaster has a good joke about that too. I think it's almost the exact same joke. It's like, do you know who I think has not had it hard enough? The trans community.
Let's get him. Actually, I know a few trans people. My first trans friend, I'd say. Loads of trans haters. First trans friend was a girl in my history thesis class, and she was so smart. And then she also wrote a thesis on pinkwashing the how Western governments use things like gay rights or things like that to vilify Middle Eastern or African nations that they're going to war with. You know, it's the idea like, oh, look how they treat gay people. We got a carpet bomb them.
Exactly.
But they've only just like, the last like 20 years given like rights to same-sex marriage or like even the most basic human rights, and they're still super marginalized against these communities. Which I thought was very when I read a thesis, I thought it was fantastic. And you kind of see it now with like Israel and stuff. They're like, well, gay people can party in Tel Aviv. It's like, well, that's not an excuse. We're the gay beach clubs in Gaza.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I guess it's how you it's one of, in a way, it's like how do you get the left to subscribe to like bombing the Middle East?
Well, that's essentially what they're trying to do. It was like when the Afghanistan pulled out, we were like, oh no, it's going to send feminism back like 10 years, which is terrible. Which is bad, obviously, but like it implies that the reason that they were there in the first place was to bring third-wave feminism to to the Afghani people. Oh, that's why we were calling for bombing. That's not what they were there for. Maybe we're not the two guys to talk about this. In essence, pro-Taliban. That was a problem with my special. Not a problem. But I kind of felt like I ended up being like quite pro-China and then came off as quite pro-Taliban.
Right.
You watched the special?
Not the whole thing.
And I watched Zardoz.
I'm so sorry.
It's fine.
I forced you to sit through the fucking...
I'm actually really happy I watched it. Because it's the sort of film that I wouldn't have put on by myself. Maybe if I was hanging out with you.
That's why I suggested it. Because I wanted to see what you'd think. Because you have... Like, you would never have watched that film otherwise.
No.
And you watched the whole thing and it's a situation where you made notes about it. And actually there is some like... There's a reason that film has a huge legacy. Because it is kind of amazing. It's got great moments. Like the actual story is fantastic. It could have. That's why I was asking about Star Wars, because again, Star Wars was this big allegory for the Vietnam War. Right? And this has like a big political social message in it. Well, this is also a thing. I actually saw a tweet literally today being like, "Do the liberals realise that they are the empire?" And it's like, what? No. George Lucas himself has said that the Empire is the U.S. government during the Republican presidency of Nixon. Like, Nixon is not directly, but like he is Darth Vader or Palpatine. But it's like the idea that I love the idea that it's been twisted.
Yeah.
But it's like you're right. It is. It's an
I saw a tweet which is like, it's about the Vietnam War, and this one guy goes, "Oh, how could it be about the Vietnam War unless the U.S. is the empire?" It's like, that's exactly what they're doing.
Wait a minute. Say that again.
Wait, imagine that guy going back to watch Star Wars. Like, whoa.
Wait a minute.
Like, this film came out at the same time, had like this great social and political message to it. It's a great story. That I got really into.
Yeah.
I think it lost its footing a lot of times.
Yeah.
Like, there were scenes where like Sean Connery leaves the room and one guy just speaks gibberish. There's no translation. It's their made up language to another guy, and then this is like
they're speaking like reverse or something.
Yeah, but then it was like, oh, and then the guy walks off and it's like, well, what was that?
yeah.
There's so many times this film where like something happens.
But those are the scenes I think that like John Boorman was like himself was like, I was on drugs. I don't know what that was about.
The classic thing of like every like film school student loves these stories of like Mel Brooks, when he showed the Elephant Man for the first time to the studio, they gave notes.
Yeah.
And then he went like something along the lines of paraphrasing, like, "Oh, I was just showing you to see so you can see where your investment's at.
Yeah.
I didn't come here to take notes from the creatively retarded."
Yeah.
That was like and every film student like loves like stories like the author like telling the studio off.
Yeah.
But for every one of those stories, I bet there's like 100 where the studio guys like, if gone to Boorman and been like, "What are we doing here, buddy?"
Yeah. They did on this movie. They did. So they watched the film and they went, "We can't release this is
completely fair.
Nonsense." Yeah. And the cut that the studio would have seen was without that intro.
Yeah.
You know that weird floating head when he's being like, "I am Zardoz, I am the god."
John. Oh, no, it's Arthur. It's Arthur Frayne.
And the studio were like, no one knows. Basically, like, John Boorman would have gone like, "You're giving away the twist. The twist is that Arthur Frayne is Zardoz." And the studio were like, "You have to tell them that immediately from the beginning, because otherwise no one is going to know what the fuck is going on."
So that film becomes so much worse, because like, the part I was complaining about was the like first 15 or 100 minutes, which it felt like, which is when Sean Connery's like just looking around.
Yeah.
It goes on for so long.
But imagine not knowing what the fuck
it just started with that.
Yeah.
It'd be like, what's
imagine exactly
like aping around the place, like when Tarzan gets to the camp.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be insane.
Literally. Without that, you wouldn't. So in a way, the studio made it slightly more understandable.
Which, you know what, they have a right to do, I think.
Well, it's that thing of like they're trying to. It's also that thing. It's like the amount of movies that I just read that book, Down and Dirty Pictures, which is basically about independent film and how it developed in the 90s, and the story is like intrinsically linked to like the Harvey Weinstein.
So Arthur Studholme's about to tell us the genius of Harvey Weinstein.
A truly awful man. Just a terrible
Just
man.
a caveat.
Truly terrible man.
Just put this out there.
But like, because he was a terrible man, it didn't necessarily make him bad at business.
Yeah.
And he did make a lot of films that would have
a lot
been
of
totally
fantastic films.
unpalatable.
Like, if you look at his filmography, it's stacked.
Yeah. It's like insanely consistent.
Yeah.
And I think some of it must be down to his understanding of what people want and the intersection between like artistry and commerce.
Yeah.
And there are many films that he did make much more enjoyable, probably.
Yeah. Was Lord of the Rings, New Line Cinema, was that?
I don't think that. To be fair, he would have ruined that. That's a terrible example. No, he wanted it to be one film.
Oh, really?
And he nearly bought it. In fact, I think he did buy it. And then Peter Jackson was like, "Fuck that shit," and got out of it, and then went off from it. And Peter Jackson was like, "It has to be 3 movies."
Yeah.
So I think you've chosen the only example.
No, there's another one as well. I mean, like, lots of people love telling their stories now, especially like John Ho, the director of Parasite, was like, "Yeah, Harvey tried to like ruin Snowpiercer maybe or something," and then he was like, "I'm not going to change it." And Snowpiercer is a fantastic film. Might not be Snowpiercer, it might be the film before that. But then like, everyone loves telling their stories now, but I'd love for someone to come out and be like, "Harvey really saved my picture."
No, but I guess no auteur would ever
Admit
to it.
Yeah,
I don't know. And again, as a filmmaker, maybe that's sacrilegious to say. But surely he must like the amount of hits that he had.
No, it's just not even like if someone's involved with the film, like in any capacity.
Yeah.
This is what I always say as well. Like if I'm like running a set, someone from the AD to the boom operator to anyone, especially in comedy as well. At least in the sets that I've been on, like they can sometimes throw a gag in or an idea in, and it does help the film.
Yeah.
And so if someone's always on set and has like quite an encyclopedic knowledge of film, there's no way that he did not give some good notes.
Surely
in a 30-year career.
But also, it's very rare.
But again, awful bloke.
Again, we must reiterate that. That's one of the worst to ever do it. One of the worst men to ever exist in the world.
Let's rank him.
Yeah, he's got to be up there. In like.
Let's rank him.
I mean, he didn't commit genocide, but sweet Jesus, he did some bad shit.
Did he make Crash? That was pretty bad.
Crash the movie.
Crash the movie.
The Cronenberg film.
One about like the 5 people, the cops and stuff like that.
Crash, the one where they all
get
horny about car crashes.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah.
With Elias Koteas? You think we
David
Cronenberg? I don't know. I think you're thinking of a different
I'm thinking of it.
Terrible movie. Did he also make that film London with what's her name? Johnny Depp's wife, ex-wife.
Amber Heard.
Terrible film also. Anyway, look, terrible movies that are out there made by all.
Actually, what's the worst thing you've seen recently? It doesn't have to be
Red
a film.
One.
Oh, really? I saw Red One.
Oh, guys,
in what capacity did you watch it?
I watched it at Christmas with my family.
Correct again.
I was playing to an absolute home crowd.
Well, also, no, but your family is very cinema literate.
True.
They're also
Did you enjoy it?
You're quite silly people as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So you
we enjoyed the it's like it was a bit The Room in the sense that you could kind of enjoy how absolutely terrible it was. I also didn't really. I think it was like bold to try and make Father Christmas like ripped.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, bold.
Male beauty standards. Yeah. Father Christmas is fucking
get J.K. Simmons ripped and get him in a red costume.
Also, J.K. Simmons is jacked as hell in that.
He's jacked anyway.
Yeah,
he was previously jacked.
Yeah, he got jacked for.
Was he jacked in Whiplash?
No, he got jacked.
He's pretty jacked.
He's in good shape for Whiplash. But he got jacked for the Batman.
He got
Even though he's only wearing suits.
Yeah. But yeah, we didn't finish it, to be fair, so maybe it redeemed itself.
So that's fair. I can understand why you would hate that movie, why anyone would hate that movie. But I went to Hong Kong a bit just before Christmas, before my brother got back, so I was in the flat alone. Most of my friends most of my white friends busy with like Christmas things. And so I had a couple of drinks, a little Prosecco. And put on Red
Sue
One.
me.
Yeah, cuff me. Put on Red One.
Yeah.
And had a great old time.
Yeah.
Had a great old time. I was eating a little ice cream. And it was dark and cold and chilly. I was watching Red One. I was pretty happy.
Maybe this is the scenario. Maybe this is the perfect scenario where Red One is enjoyed. It's by someone who doesn't subscribe to Christmas as a thing, is a bit drunk, is eating ice cream, is a lot drunk, eating ice cream. Maybe that's who it's for.
Honestly, I can't tell you what happens if that tells you where I was at. I think like it's like there's a point where they go to find Krampus.
Yeah. I think that's the whole idea of the movie. I actually can't remember anything.
I can't remember anything about it.
It's ripped J.K. Simmons. People don't believe in. Oh no! The thing that was so fucking magic about that film is The Rock, with a like superhero level of intensity, being like, people don't believe in Christmas anymore. it's like this is so wrong. The sincerity of this, as like also The Rock, who you just know doesn't have any intrinsic irony about it. Being so, like, the kids don't believe in Christmas.
Do you think The Rock is a good actor?
He is like what you would historically consider to be like a blockbuster actor.
Yeah.
Like he's not like, he doesn't have a particular command of his craft as an actor. He isn't able to transform himself for a role, but he does have an undeniable charisma and like an exceptional vibe. Like, to be shredded to that extent, also like to look like that, just commands, and also to like, for example, the other guy, he's hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, he does have, as long as he's playing like a kind of macho, you know, the kind of role that
2 seasons in the other guys.
yeah, amazing, steals the show.
Well,
But you know what I mean? Like, he
yeah.
plays a very particular role, and he does it well.
Well, this is the thing that I sometimes complain about, and I'm not lumping in with this at all as well, is like the sort of film Twitter aspect of things, where they'll be like, oh, Scorsese doesn't like Marvel films are terrible. Or like any big blockbuster with The Rock is terrible, and it has no intrinsic value. You know, it's not filming, it's not cinema,
Yeah.
and things like that. I find that very hard to believe. I disagree with that heavily because I think like, you know, anything has its like value as a film or anything like that.
Yeah.
So maybe Red One would be searching for something a little bit. Maybe we'd have to watch it again. But I don't know.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the reason I've been thinking about that recently is because, like, you know, the last, like, since Avengers Endgame, I feel like, you know, the Marvel stuff has been on a bit, like, the films haven't been hitting the way they used to. Close out the Eternals, which I thought was great. But and then now Thunderbolts has just come out. Thunderbolts, SEO. Let's get this back on the album.
I haven't seen that, man. Yeah, let's go down. I don't know what Thunderbolts is.
Yeah, no, we gotta get it back on the album. It's popular right now.
Yeah. Back to Zardoz.
No, it came out and it's got like 90% on Rotten Tomatoes and stuff. And then immediately everyone's like, oh wow, this must be like a great film, you know?
Yeah.
And it's how based it is on like critical review,
Yeah.
rather than people, like, obviously, like, you know, it varies from person to person, but like the general consensus, people bandwagon off Rotten Tomatoes and Letterboxd so much.
Yeah.
And you know, if a film's on Mubi, doesn't mean it's a good film.
Yeah.
If a film is released by Prime with no cinema release, doesn't mean it's a piece of trash either. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, there are like these. I'm just saying there's like not even exceptions to the rule. I'm saying it like varies quite a lot.
The thing is,
like,
I would say it's incredibly rare for a movie to do badly. Like, it's got a low Rotten Tomatoes or a low Letterboxd, and for it to be a great movie.
Oh,
Like, it's very rare.
I wish I had a list, but I think there's like a lot of great films.
Do you think?
Yeah. I mean, we're going by like the
Like, Letterboxd went fucking crazy for that Spider-Man movie where all the different Spider-Men.
Oh, No Way Home.
Yeah. It got like 4.4. It's like
really?
as good as like The Godfather.
Well, there's definitely films I've seen, like, you know, Gone in 60 Seconds with Nicolas Cage. An elite film, doesn't have great reviews, you know.
Yeah.
I think it's honestly almost a perfect film.
Yeah, but I think maybe historically, I think there's a massive recency bias with this stuff, where like the majority of like blockbusters that people vibe with, I think it's like when movies are viewed retrospectively, they tend to do worse.
Yeah, well, I just feel like we also come with such a critical mindset to movies, you know, where we don't even like make up our mind before we go into it. So like the reason I was talking about The Rock, the reason it came up to me is because like now The Rock is in Benny Safdie's next film, and I just saw the trailer for it. It's about like some wrestler or something, and he barely looks like The Rock.
Yeah.
Except size.
Yeah.
They couldn't hide that.
Well, have they
well, a lot
prosthetic him
of
up?
prosthetics to look like the real character.
Okay.
And it'll be interesting to like the reason it's just on my mind is like all these people for years like The Rock's been a bit of a punchline. You know?
Yeah.
And then now that he's in the Safdie brother film for A24, everyone's like, whoa, where did this come from?
But no, but the thing is that there's a real legacy. That's like exactly what happened with, what's his name? God, my brain is so fucked. What's the guy from Greece?
John Travolta.
John Travolta, right? So John Travolta has the exact same thing with. So he'd done like loads of absolute schlock, and then Pulp Fiction reinvented him, and that was like Quentin Tarantino, you genius, you've like taken this.
Because he's a good actor.
Yeah,
good
it's
actor
amazing.
Doing bad projects. I mean, like so. Nick Cage went through like 20 to 100, I don't know, films.
But it's happened with Nick Cage. In
so
a way,
bad.
it happened with McConaughey. Iconically, it happened with Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
Like, there is like a real legacy. In a way, I think this might be the Safdie's attempt to do with The Rock what P.T. Anderson did with Adam Sandler in Punch Drunk
Love.
And like and Tarantino did with John Travolta, and what has been done countless times, where it's like it takes a genius mind.
Well, it just takes. I think it's not just even the genius mind. I think it's the right actor for the right role.
Yeah.
And you know, the person who wrote or is directing the film can spot that quite well.
Yeah.
Like,
No, but there's definitely.
Yeah, I'm sure who directed this is Zardoz?
John Boorman.
John Boorman was sitting there, like, they were offering everyone. Peter O'Toole,
Yeah.
the Rock audition. And then he was like, I want Connery.
Yeah.
I
want the Con.
there's a lot of women in this cast, and he's known to open hand slap women.
Yeah, he wants to do
He
that.
wants to do it.
He's actually
He
actively
encourages
keen.
everyone else to do it. And then Boorman's like, bring him in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the right actor, right role.
Yeah. No, but I think it's maybe like there's like a bit of a fetishization of like the perceived genius of reinventing an actor. That the Safdie brothers might be like keen to capture a bit of that shine. Obviously they also have to do the right. What I'm saying is, it's like people when you do it as a director writer, you're held to a standard of like, how did you take John Travolta and turn him into an indie darling?
How did you take this? Like, sorry, take the Rock. How do you take this guy with decades of acting experience
and like huge guaranteed box office results
and a real dedication to his craft, and like whether it be like wrestling or films, and give him something good, work with him, and get him.
Maybe you give him a good script. I mean, that's to be honest. I sound like I'm kind of trying to put that down, but actually, Punch Drunk Love is one of my favorite.
Oh yeah, I love Punch Drunk Love. I actually
and all of those films, Pulp Fiction is pretty undeniable. It's a great movie. Like these, there is like a kind of fetishization of it, but it is also
when it works.
It is kind of genius.
Because it's also just trusting your gut so much. Like who would be a funny actor to do that with right now? Like casting Nathan Fielder to play Obama.
No, it would be no. That's Obama. That's a whole different thing.
You want to hear my Barack impression?
Go on.
Ready? Michelle. Okay.
That's it. Dude, I'm there. I'm in the room with him. Michelle.
And that's all I should be doing.
Yeah, I think that's
where it should stop.
That's enough. The thing is, though, Nathan Fielder is kind of art housey. You got to. Let's think of like who is the most like schlocky, like naff actor you can think of, and turn them into an art house darling.
Cosmo Wellings.
Who's the guy from that Sydney Sweeney movie? Glenn Powell.
Glenn Powell. I think he's a good actor.
But is he a serious actor?
He was great in Top Gun. He had he's been good. I don't think I've seen him. Oh no, in the Richard Linklater film that he did with.
It's like Vin Diesel.
Yeah, Vin Diesel did. Tyrese.
Sidney Lumet did it. In Find Me Guilty.
I haven't seen that.
It's a good movie.
With Vin Diesel?
With Vin Diesel. And actually, incredible performance. This thing, these guys, these like schlocky action heroes usually are pretty fucking good at acting.
Yeah.
If you just give them the right script.
It's also like taking comedians out to do a dramatic role.
Yeah.
And then the press, they love it. They're like, who needs Steve Carell? You know how to act. It's like acting in comedy, or Bob Odenkirk.
Yeah.
Or maybe
it's incredibly hard.
Maybe we're a bit biased, but like, I think comedic acting is way harder than dramatic acting.
For sure.
Ooh, I'm sad.
Look wistful.
Yeah, you just have to with comedic acting. There's so much timing, so much commitment to the bit, and things like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're doing absolutely nonsensical things, and you have to like, go for it. I'm trying to think. I think actually taking a dramatic actor and throwing him into a comedy.
Becoming comedy.
That's actually always impressive when that happens.
Yeah.
When I see someone in a dramatic background do well in a comedy.
One of the only actors that I think can genuinely do it, but do both, is Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling can do that.
I don't think I can think of another actor who is hilarious when he wants to be and like totally...
Michael Keaton. He started as a stand-up.
Michael Keaton.
He started
with comedy.
Yeah, sorry. Okay.
Like someone who started sincerely and then can turn in.
Started sincerely.
And then went
all the comedians were doing it sarcastically. Oopsie doopsie. Oops, how did I end up in this audition? Harrison Ford. I've never seen him in a comedy.
There.
Oh no, I think he's very funny.
Robert De Niro.
Robert De Niro can be very funny. But he's made some stinker comedy films.
But he's also like
a
Midnight
bad
Run.
dad.
He's very funny in. He can do comedy.
Owen Wilson.
He started kind of Wes Anderson-y though,
Yeah.
which is sort of comedy.
Yeah, it's quite.
We're talking
dramatic.
like Robert De Niro, as in he started with like Taxi
Driver.
you know, another Brian De Palma stuff.
Who's absolutely mean? Steve Carell. Oh, it's again comedy. What am I doing? I'm
Started comedy.
I'm going the wrong
I'm trying to
way.
think, there's not loads
Yeah, I think it's way more.
who went comedy late and nailed it.
Mm. Yeah, I'm not.
Like
gonna-
Dustin Hoffman, I guess the whole kind of Meet the Fockers group.
Yeah.
Al Pacino needs to come out and do like a hysterical comedy.
Did Hugh Grant start in comedy?
Rom-com.
Rom-com, I guess.
There's comedy in
Because he
there.
is funny.
Comedy is 50% of the rom-com combo.
3 of the 6 letters.
Yeah.
Colin Firth. He has a lot of dramas. I feel like he's funny too.
Yeah.
He's doing the right thing.
Yeah, he's done some funny stuff.
Oh yeah, like in rom-coms though, he's very funny.
Yeah.
Blithering English charming.
Yeah,
gent.
exactly. It's a tough one. I would maintain that no one's done it better than the
The
Gods.
Gods.
The Nice Guys, hilarious.
Yeah, such a funny. Oh,
So
there we go.
funny. Russell
Crowe.
Russell is a good one.
And he's done a few comedies. I think.
Yeah.
He's a very funny guy as well.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good example because he started super like the archetypal
beautiful mind.
macho
Yeah.
sincere guy.
Mel
Deep
Gibson
thinking.
is very funny.
Yeah.
He's done What a Woman Want.
What Women Want is outrageous
What
movie.
a film, if you guys don't know, it's a film where Mel Gibson knows what women want.
What women want, and he really does.
There's one man in this world who knows exactly what
But the
women
idea,
want.
he doesn't even know. He can just hear
Yeah, you can
what
hear
women want.
until something will take us time to
It
figure it
takes him a
out.
lot of time to figure out.
You'll like hear their inner thoughts and they'll be like, I really want an ice cream. And he's like, what's this bitch thinking?
Yeah. But didn't he write on that movie
No
too?
way.
I think he did. It's like, I know what women
That's
want.
the sort of like, have you ever done like script consulting work and like that sort of stuff where like there's some insane person sends you like a script. It's like it's written by a lawyer in Miami and he's like
It's called What Women
it's
Desire.
about like a hot lawyer in Miami or the community bit where it's like the artificial lie, the lie test detector guy. He's
Yeah.
like, I'm working on a screenplay. It's about a lie test detector guy, but no one can focus on the questions he asks because he's so handsome.
And I want to play the guy.
That's Walton Goggins. Walton Goggins.
That was Walton Goggins.
Yeah, in that episode. But Walton Goggins. Did he start? He started in. I saw him in Shanghai Noon, and I knew he was a star.
Thing is, does Walton Goggins count? Because he's never been a leading man.
Yeah. No, not really. He's not. He's just a weird guy.
He's
Speaking of ripped.
Is he shredded?
He's
the Gog.
shredded.
The Gog is shredded. What the fuck?
I will actually learn how to edit this part in to put a picture of the shredded Gog in.
The Gog in.
He's so shredded, and he keeps posting on Twitter pictures of himself.
Yeah.
And some of them are like a magazine doing a spread on him. Some of them aren't credited to anything.
Yeah.
So in my head,
He's
it's
just been
the
uploading.
Gogs. It's just the Gogs doing photo shoots. Of him just like absolutely ripped. But it's to get
Why is he so red? There's no reason for
No reason for him to be so ripped.
There's no role where you can be
If anything, he
like,
should be
I
less
had to
ripped.
get ripped for that film.
He should be a little less ripped.
Yeah, suspiciously ripped.
Well, the guy was the Paul Rudd and Ant-Man. He like got really ripped for that. And then the director was like, "You don't have to be ripped for this." He's like, "What? Someone should have told me."
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I thought it was a superhero. He's like, "Yeah, you're not that kind of
Yeah,
superhero.
you're in a suit. You're in a big metal suit.
Yeah, you're like
the
a
whole
goofy
time.
superhero." And then they were like, because he did it already, they like gave one scene with him shirtless.
Yeah.
You know, like, you put in all the work, buddy.
I was like, Paul Rudd's ripped. What the fuck? To be fair, I probably always would have guessed that Paul Rudd had like a reasonable rig.
Yeah.
I can't remember much rig chat.
No, it's been a lot of rig chat. It's a part.
For two blokes with not particularly. I'll speak for myself. But you've been doing some quite
I do.
active
I do.
rig
Actually,
work.
last 3 weeks have been pretty good.
As soon as I got a girlfriend, the gym no longer had any appeal.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. What is it about men doing podcasts and they just immediately start talking about it?
Yeah.
Just immediately you have to be like, bro, what are you benching?
What are you benching these days?
You taking protein powders?
It's true. It's what men intrinsically want to talk about.
Is it? Yeah. I know.
Sounds like it. That's what's been. I never talk about my rig ever.
Yeah.
But I've been chatting rig all
There's
day.
something nice about sometimes it's like, sometimes girls like going like, oh, she's a nice little girls night. Yeah, we need to do boys night. Actually, that already exists. Sorry, I don't know.
Well, the thing is, boys. There's no such thing as a boy. Go to the pub
boys
with your friends. But it is a thing. Like men have loads of like activities that we do together, like cricket, for example. I know you don't play cricket, but
I've fucking played a lot in my life.
Yeah.
I don't like playing it. I'm not good at it.
Never want to again.
For some reason.
But like, I'll play cricket with my mates once a week.
Yeah.
And
LMS
my girlfriend doesn't do that.
Ooh, we're sponsored. Speaking of our sponsor, LMS.
Oh, yeah.
What are they going to do? Sue?
That's another sponsor.
That's one of our sponsors. LMS. Have fun with your friends, but pay us for kit every time. I've spent £800 to pay.
What is that?
You have to pay for the kit every year.
Really?
Yeah, new kit every year.
For LMS?
Yep.
What kit do you need?
The kit that you wear when you play.
Pads and stuff?
No, the uniforms.
Last man standing?
Yeah, you have to wear a uniform, right?
Really?
Otherwise-
I've never done it, maybe.
Oh, you've not played Last Man Standing? Yeah, you have to wear a uniform.
Okay.
And you don't have to wear a uniform, but you get deducted points if you're not wearing a uniform.
Yeah.
And the only uniforms you can get are from the LMS website. And you're thinking, oh, well, we can use these again next year. No, you can't.
Nay, incorrect.
you have to get a fresh kit every year. So they're running a little bit of a... I mean, it is a great thing that it gets loads of people out to...
I think it's fun.
I think I've won LMS twice.
Really? With who?
Huh? I'm on an elite team.
I personally have won it.
I got the rings, baby. I'm a champion. No one can take it away from me.
I am the last man standing at the end of the year.
No, I'm just on a team with loads of very, very good cricketers.
Who did you play with?
Like Ned Hillsborough, Moda, all those sort of guys.
Good cricketers?
Yeah. And we'll bleep out those names, maybe.
Slandering.
Doesn't matter. No, they're very good cricketers. And then, but they go out and then they win.
Yeah.
And when they're missing a man, I get the call up.
Okay.
And I
so
just
you
sit on the boundary.
You've won it.
Sit on the boundary and anything. But they won. And, I'm on the team roster.
I want to play. I want to play with a good team for LMS. I've never done it before. We win. I'm with a team called the Northern Bastards.
Ah. And it's not LMS.
50% non-Northerners. It's not LMS.
Oh,
it's like 2020.
Oh, okay.
And we lose consistently. And it's depressing. But we keep going. But it'd be nice to win.
I think there's something quite fun about losing, right?
Is there?
Yeah, if
not consistent.
I think consistent losing, you just buy into it. Then. You're just like, all right. I'm actually here to have fun.
It's still fun. It's fun enough that we continuously do it.
Yeah.
So it must be quite fun, I guess. No, it is. It's a beautiful time. But
we think we should move back to those Zardoz for a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, we got a little 10 more minutes.
Let's do it if you've got.
Well, let's rank rings. Let's rank our friends' rings. Name and shame.
Top 10 rings out of anyone we know. I don't know. I don't know if any of our friends have insane rings.
Some of them have very good rings.
Really?
Yeah.
Charles Murphy. Do you know him? No. He's got a good ring. Shout out Charles Murphy.
I'm not going to name people's rings. They're like, thank you.
You go first. As the host.
Oh, thank you very much. As the guest. Thank you for being the first guest on the pod.
Pleasure, man. Have we spoken about anything? I feel like we haven't spoken about a single thing this whole time.
I think that's the point of podcasts.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. I'm figuring it out myself. I think people just like listening to them. As I told you before, I'll be the first person to make more podcasts than I listen to. But I think people just enjoy listening to people chat.
I hope so.
I don't know what that says about the people in general now.
Human beings out in the world.
But like, people like listening. I listen to a bit of Conan O'Brien. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw on Netflix his Mark Twain Award.
No, what was that?
They did a special for his. He won the Mark Twain Humor Prize. It's
right.
Like the biggest, like the very prestigious comedy prize in America.
Yeah.
And I think he's like generally one of the funniest people.
Conan O'Brien.
Yeah. He's definitely probably the best chat show host ever.
He's incredibly natural.
So natural.
It's extraordinary. Also, when you look at some of the incredibly awkward people he's had on,
Yeah.
and how good he is at diffusing their kind of
Or
moments.
the reverse, which I actually notice a lot, is when he has like someone who's incredibly funny on, and whether it's like a Bill Burr type or a Bo Burnham type, or you know like Mike Epps or whatever it is, he plays the secondary exactly the way they need him to do it.
Yeah.
So for Bill Burr, it's like, oh, you can't say that.
Yeah.
Or like you know, with Bo Burnham, he like leans in a bit more and stuff. Like it's just like he does it like effortlessly.
Yeah.
And all his bits and stuff. I think he was like one of the first. Like, if we were older, you'd have been in love with him because he was like the first guy to start doing absurd stuff on like primetime TV.
Was he SNL?
He was
The
Simpsons and then SNL.
Yeah.
And then SNL and The Simpsons or the reverse, and then he went to got his late night show, and like when late night shows were like Jay Leno and stuff like that, they were like very like set in their ways. He started doing sketches and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like Bear, the opening of the show, like a bear masturbating, a guy in a bear suit masturbating.
Is it on Conan? There's a great one of my favorite like talk show jokes is Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
I think it's on Conan whenever he has to show like a clip from his movie. It's
It's
from that Alien film.
He's just a boy in a wheelchair falling off a cliff. And then he goes, no, this one, I like the studio wants me to show. A clip.
Sorry, like I know I always do that. I'm gonna be sincere this time.
And he's done it for like it's like a weird 20-year bit.
It's good every time.
And they were giving him the award, and it was just like it was one of the funnier things I've ever seen. Because they had all these great comics come up to like honor him, if you will, and then his speech at the end was also fantastic, where he spoke about like what comedy is. You know? And, I won't butcher it or paraphrase it for anyone listening. I highly recommend going to listen to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was.
No, he's for real, Conan. He's got an incredible aura as well. He's got a real like you just feel comfortable.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of sometimes I feel with like Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah.
I feel like
very insincere.
I feel a bit uncomfortable. Like your mechanism is just to laugh hysterically, and it's not really.
Or James Corden. I feel like Fallon catches a lot of heat, and I agree with it. But if we're gonna lynch someone, let's get James Corden as well.
I don't think I've seen that. I don't think I've ever.
It's just like brown nosing, and then just like like he's not like trying to be. I don't know if he's trying to tell jokes or anything. And then he has
it's always like, haha, we're two celebrities.
Yeah.
Two celebs hanging out.
We were at a party the other day together.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Two celebs hanging out. You know what it's like.
And then like carpool karaoke. I never really got really into that. Like just watching.
To be fair, good idea though.
No, because he was playing for social media and stuff like that, for YouTube.
Incredibly annoying, but genius.
I mean, it will stand the test of time though.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Well, I think James Corden has already, in his own lifetime, failed on the test of time.
You do work that is quite like sort of stuff that you can like. It's not like hacky or any way. It's not like I'll give you a bigger compliment now than I've ever given you in my life. No, but it's work that you could be proud of in like 10 years and stuff, unless like an actor. Turns out being quite bad.
I hope so.
Unless you're casting Sean Connery. But and that sort of stuff. But it all comes from a very absurdist place.
Yeah.
Why? Well, and if you've been like that for a while. Why do you delve into that so much of comedy?
I think it's just going. Like when you make work, I think it's the thing. Like for example, there's about to be British SNL. There's about to be a whole British SNL, and Cosmo and I were apparently on the list and what have you, and we were like, and the brief was like, can consistently come up with topical political sketches or whatever. And we were like, that is like.
I got it too, mate. Don't worry.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. We all did.
Yeah.
But it's like, do you?
I'm very honoured to be on the same list with these two.
Likewise, man. Likewise. But the thing is, you would be better than us because your work is much more like topical and political, and that's kind of what Cosmo and I have. I guess maybe to answer your question is like that's I think why it feels that way, because it's in the same way that like Tim Robinson, you'd never be like his work is cutting topical political content.
Yeah.
And so probably like it'll be relevant as long as that style of humour is relevant. rather than like when those topics go out of fashion.
At the same time, though, like, you know, you can avoid topical political stuff, but you can, like, you know, take like Richard Pryor and Jerry Seinfeld as two stand-ups. Richard Pryor tells, like, you know, jokes about, like, when you're 16 and you go out and your dad's like, you have to be home by 11, and everyone's like, and you're like, get to your friends, like, what are we doing? It's like, waiting till 11. It's like, fuck. Like, it's like a very, like, that is a joke that works now just before, but you look at Jerry Seinfeld, he does all these, like, relatable things, but that actually don't hold up that well now. But so I think you can, like, tell a joke about a dentist which will hold up for a long time. But you still go.
But it's always dependent on how
absurd a lot. Even like in the work that I've read of yours, which is soon to come out. Like, you know, TV series and things like that.
Yeah.
It's very like it's very Zardoz. It's very like you know, Flash Gordon, things like that. And it's like you go there and you go to those, like, sort of places, the sillier, wackier stuff. And it is serious. It's very committed. It's work. But like, I was just wondering what draws you to that more. Because when I describe it to other people, I'm like, oh, he's a comedian as well, but he does, like, more absurd stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, what brings you to that more?
I think it's just
what you find funny.
It's just what I find funny. Yeah. I think it's like I just don't really trust not even that I trust myself to make, like, biting topical work. It's more that that's just what I find funny, and I think, like, there's something about absurdism or surrealism that speaks to, like, maybe something that, like, there's not a lot of comedy from the 60s that's still funny, but, like, a lot of sketches from Monty Python. There's, like, they've got that sketch where it's like these milkmen keep disappearing, and then it like transpires that this, like, sexy woman keeps, like, capturing them and putting them in her, like, basement. And it's hilarious when you realize that, like, this one milkman has gone in, he's been lured by this beautiful woman, and then he goes into this back room and it's full of other milkmen, and it's, like, hilarious. And it's like, that's an idea that will always be funny, even though milkmen aren't even a thing anymore. But it's still funny because the idea is, like, conceptually funny, and that, I think that's what I find interesting, and it's why, like, a sketch like that from that time can still be funny, because it's not, like, super related to, like a joke structure that might go out of fashion or whatever. So it's not, but that's not, I'm not interested in it because I think it's timeless. I just think, like, incredibly topical comedy just does go out of fashion faster, or, like, you know, when something is, like, I guess, like, the more zeitgeisty a joke feels when it comes out is proportional to how fast it will go out of fashion. I think, like, it's not so, I guess it's just, like, it happens to be the kind of thing I like, and hopefully will last a bit longer. But.
No, I definitely think it will. 'Cause even, like, you know, doing stand-up, like, I did a gig last week and I was doing some conclave jokes, and I think they landed pretty well.
I'm sure they did.
And then I was like, well, afterwards, like, well, like, how long is this conclave going to last?
yeah, we're back in the conclave. We're in the conclave right now.
No, I know. Not the conclave of the film. I did the about the current
conclave that's happening right now. Yeah.
And then shout out the Filipino bro.
Is there a Filipino pope in the running?
There's a Filipino pope, and he seems pretty good. All the other ones. There's a funny one. Like, there's a Sri Lankan pope, and I was like, nice brown pope. And then I saw online, they're like, it's gonna be they're gonna make the pope woke. And I was like, I looked it up, and I looked up his, like, policies. He was like, gay people are an abomination. And I was like,
fuck.
Is this the woke pope?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a great name for a TV show. The woke
pope. Hates the gays.
Starring Jude Law. Part of the Pope cinematic universe. Young Pope
Jude Law is the Filipino pope. Be round up to be the woke pope. Wait, what?
Is Jude Law.
The Pope's woke now.
Who's doing the show? Anyway, where was I going with that? Yeah, so, like, I was like, oh, okay, well, as soon as conclave is finished, they've elected a woke pope. I won't do this joke anymore until the next conclave. And it's just completely gone. But, like, I can still, like Uncle Shortbread sketches. The best one being Pooh in the Loo. which
Written by yours
that's what the
truly.
comments say. No, me and your brother.
Yeah, no, we all wrote it, but it was your idea.
Yeah, and then I remember being like to Felix, I said like 10 sketches, and then you're like, this one's good. And I was like, this motherfucker. Felix was like, well, think about like SNL writers. They submit like 20 sketches and not the pictures.
Were you annoyed that we
I was like,
selected one?
No, because you texted back like, I like this one, and I was like, all right.
Dude, I love that
there
one.
was like 10 other ones there. No, but it worked. But yeah, like I can still show that to people more than some of my stand-up clips.
Yeah.
Because like, well, a lot of stand-up jokes. Definitely can't be making those jokes anymore. My Obama impression. But like, you know, it's just a bit more. It just lasts longer, and.
But that's a great example. Like you wrote that yourself. You know, like that came from just like the
But I
great.
was writing it for you. I was thinking like, what would you want to do? So I was trying to be more absurd.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah. But I think that's like a good example though. The reason that I think that sketch is so funny is because it's just like a linguistic joke.
Yeah.
It's not like people taking poos out of loos is fucking funny this year.
Yeah.
It's just like someone being like, do you mind if I just take a poo in your loo, but being misheard. Is always going to be funny because people always mishear people. Like that joke could be funny in the 15th century because people might mishear someone, and that's always funny. In the same way that like we did a sketch called Words where someone just like gets his words in the wrong order, and there was a comedian in like the 60s that did that as his whole bit was that he just like speak nonsense and his words would be all out of order. And it's just as funny then as it is now. And it's like, there are certain jokes that will always be funny because there's certain things that are always relevant. Like, just like speech, the way that we communicate, the way that we like fuck up our sentences is always funny. And that's why that's funny. And then we just took it to the extreme.
Especially like when we were friends with Speaks, we were like, what are you, a fucking idiot?
Yeah, what did you say?
What? You're a moron. And you love, as you asked as well, you love like, because I was watching Zardoz and I was like seeing why you chose it. You do love monsters, weird stuff, like monster sci-fi.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know if I'm spoiling anything, I think you're working on something now, or you just did work on something where you made you had to make a monster mask or something and you were really like into it.
Yeah. Yeah, you're really into it. You freak.
like that was like a big part of it. It's like, and you love like monsters, sci-fi, stuff like that. And then in Zardoz, there's a big head. There's a lot of sci-fi aspect of it.
Yeah.
A lot of sexual assault, which again, I heard your allegation.
Just to clarify, just to rewind, this is coming from nowhere. This is Asif trying to be funny. I'm going to make it sound like there's allegations against you.
But no, there's a lot of monsters. There's a lot of sci-fi aspects of Zardoz.
Yeah.
And you are really into sci-fi monsters.
Yeah.
And you incorporate them into comedy a lot.
For sure. Well. For sure. I think it's like, again, it's just like, it speaks to like a kind of eternal, I don't know, it's like part of the kind of human subconscious, is that we just like love the idea of creatures that are...
But most people make them, most commonly, they're scary.
Yeah.
They're scary,
but that's why that's funny,
is
when you take something that's funny. That's kind of why Zardoz is so funny. I know it's like not trying to be funny, and that's something we spoke about. It's like, is this film self-consciously funny, or is it trying to be serious? And I think it's like accidentally funny, because it creates these absurd creatures and surreal elements, and then like doesn't really do them properly, and they end up funny. And I think that's what I find interesting about scary monsters, is when they're not scary. It's like that sketch you're talking about, it all started from like, what would it be like if a kid had a monster under his bed, but he bullied the monster, and the monster was like fucking terrified of him, and this kid's like, you know, make my fucking bed, bitch. And the monster's like, okay, Timmy, like, leave me alone. And it's like, there is, when you subvert that, but like, that's the kind of joke that will, as long as humans are scared of unknowable creatures, that joke will be funny, because it'll always be funny to subvert that. That's why that's not a topical joke. That's just like a joke about like humanity's fear of things that it doesn't understand.
Yeah. And the last serious one for you. Rate my. Back to rigs.
10 every time, Asif.
So we were talking about this, and it's like good to talk about comedy. Because I feel like not enough podcasts do that. But they, references, you don't do them a lot in your work. You're never like, so like take, I mean, it's an extreme example, like Deadpool, you know? Not like breaking the fourth wall, but I mean like being like, oh, it's like Titanic when he's like holding someone or things like that. Or like Community does a lot. That's a better example. They do a lot of references. Rick and Morty does a lot.
Yeah.
Simpsons, like Family Guy. I mean, sorry, this goes on. What do you think of reference humor and when things get meta and does it get too meta? So like, I think like Community gets very meta, but then there's also like Deadpool, which is like a huge blockbuster, and then there's constant fourth wall breaking.
Yeah.
Simpsons never breaks, very rarely breaks the fourth wall. Family Guy does a lot.
Yeah. Reference humor, I think, is like there's a huge place for it. Like it's incredibly funny when it gets it right, but again, it like as soon as it's like a good reference joke is like a delicious raspberry. It goes off quickly, but it's super tasty. It's like it's fucking funny, but its shelf life is way shorter. Whereas like like the kind of jokes we were just talking about where they last longer are like maybe harder to, you know, they don't go off as fast. But I don't know, like I think I guess it's like what comes out of you naturally, and that's just not, I just don't find it that funny to be like, you know, to reference something in pop culture as the kind of mechanism of your joke. I don't think that it's any less or more valuable as a joke, but it's just not something that I find that exciting. Like, I guess, you know, I'm sure you have this when you write your stand-up. It's like that feeling when you think you hit upon a funny joke. You get that, like, yes, fuck, yeah. I've got it. I've got something here.
Never got that. Never in my life.
Sure you have. When you come up with something, you're like, yes, this is good. I'm going to do that. And I think sometimes it takes a lot to back it. And I would very rarely be like, yes, this is a fucking great reference to that Sydney Sweeney movie that is, you know, people are going to find really funny.
It'd be great if you could name a Sydney Sweeney movie.
I can't think of a single one. Anyone but you.
Oh, there we go.
But you know what I mean? It's like what gives you that feeling of thrill. And for me, it isn't topical reference comedy, but for others, I'm sure it is. And
what about fourth wall breaks?
Again, it just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah.
You know, unless it's like really, like sometimes like a character looking to camera is funny as long as it's like really ironic.
The Jim Halpert with the Office.
Yeah, exactly. But that's different because it's like mimicking the language of like a documentary where people do look at the camera. But fourth wall breaks, it can be corny as hell. You know what I mean? It depends how it's done.
What about commenting on your own? Yeah, obviously. Always.
But even like Poo from Your Loo, for example.
Yeah.
We had that joke about the microphone.
Yeah.
Like that's a fourth wall break. And that was funny because it was referencing the microphone dropping into shot of that movie Slackers that we kind of noticed that it came in. Yeah. But like it's funny that we've just done it immediately after.
It was a reference.
It was literally, I never ever do it. No, we did it there.
They do. Because I was thinking about fourth wall because I was watching I was listening to a podcast with Simpson writers. It's like years ago, and they were like, "Yeah, we watched I think it was the first Deadpool came out." And they were like, "We watched Deadpool, and we were like, wow, this is very funny. It's great." But like, you know, we were told like no fourth wall breaks constantly. And then this film, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. And it was just what we believed. And then they watched like Deadpool, where they do it like every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh shit. But then if you do too much, obviously there's like a carbon saturation and things like that. But I think it's something that like people should discuss more because then like sometimes you read a lot of comedy now, like other people's scripts and things. And it's like just like a huge saturation. It's like a narrow well.
Yeah.
I feel like that people go into a lot.
Yeah.
Whereas I think like a couple of years ago, no one was doing that many. I think Rick and Morty really changed it.
Yeah.
And Community, and that's a Community actually, because Community wasn't super popular. But like Rick and Morty and Deadpool really changed it. And Family Guy does it a lot now.
Yeah.
And these are the three pinnacles of
Family
comedy.
Guy always did it. Family Guy did it from the beginning. Right?
Yeah.
Like, this is just like when that person did that. Or like a cutaway.
Well, now I mean, like, Peter will just be like, I'm playing both characters. Stuff like that. Stuff like that. It's like, this is a Meg episode. Stuff, you know, like...
I guess it just can't, these things come round and round, like...
Yeah.
It's always...
Because I just know writers who just, like, refuse to do a fourth wall break, and I know ones who just adore it. Both comedic. But,
yeah, it just depends on how well it's written.
Yeah.
And whether it's timed right and whatever. Like, I've got nothing against it as an idea.
Yeah. Oh, I think we're coming up on our time here.
An hour and a half. That's the runtime of many a great feature film.
And if you watch this instead of watching a film,
shame on you.
You could have watched Zardoz. Have this playing while you watch Zardoz. I'm gonna end it with this. This is the test drive of the new system.
Yeah.
We're gonna rate Zardoz.
Okay. Yeah.
Out of 4 thumbs, 2 of them being mine.
Yeah.
And 2 of them being yours.
Yeah.
Okay. And
4 thumbs.
4
okay,
thumbs.
and we just pop them out?
A 4-thumb system.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pop it out on 3. Okay? 1, 2, 3. 3 thumbs.
3 thumbs.
3 thumbs for Zardoz.
Also, you got to give it 2. For me, you got to give it 2 because how the hell did you make? How did it get made? How did that become a movie that was shot so beautifully with Sean Connery? That deserves 2 for me.
A lot of people worked on this.
And we're talking about it today.
Yeah, that's true.
That's 2 thumbs.
That's because of you.
How the hell are you talking about this movie
How many
today,
times
man?
have you brought up Zardoz?
Very few.
And it's landed poorly.
Very few times.
I was just, first dates.
Yeah, no.
Your age profile. Ask me about Zardoz.
Can you imagine? What's your favourite movie?
I did think the book was going to be the Bible.
Yeah, what is it? It's the Wizard of Oz.
This is the Wizard of Oz. And then he goes, Zardoz. Sorry,
Yeah.
spoil it.
Yeah.
You know, no one's ever going to watch
Huge
this.
spoiler, that's a
It would be
huge
funny if
spoiler.
people watch this and they were like, listen to this.
They're
One,
like,
of one of the 3 people who listen to this goes and watches Zardoz. But it goes, Wizard of Oz, Zardoz.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God.
It's beautiful, man.
I thought it was going to be the Bible.
Yeah.
I do love literacy. Also, again, knowledge brings him to
Yeah, there you go.
an
Yeah.
elevated stage.
that's
His
it.
enlightenment comes through education.
Through the text.
Mm.
Yeah. The written text.
I was hoping it would be the Quran.
Did you though? Because it would be very like, I read this book and it fucked me up.
I read this book and opened my eyes, and now I'm going to kill everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
So, wow, this guy really had a mistake.
Jihad.
That's a great place then.
On that word.
Thanks so much, Arthur, for coming on to the first episode.
Dude, it's an absolute.
I feel like I've been talking super loud.
There's no one around. Something smells good. Someone's cooking some chips.
No, they put something on the barbecue. I could put the barbecue on for you. Didn't they? Thanks for coming on the first episode, buddy.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure
man.
to have you.
Mwah.